Hi, I'm Jill from June Taylor with another innovative solution. Did you ever want to join your quilt blocks that are made quilt as you go? Now we have a perfect way to do that with our Sash and a Dash. It's pre-sewn sashing. It's sold by the yard in 7 colors with matching binding. Open the casing and nest your quilt block inside the casing. And then we're just going to run a top stitch down the edge. Take your next block, open the casing, and just do the same thing. To join rows, we're going to do the same thing, only we're going to run our Sash and a Dash across the row. You can run a beautiful embroidery stitch down here to embellish Sash and a Dash, or you can even put a strip of fabric down here. Here's an example where we added a fabric strip by folding under raw edges and top stitching over Sash and a Dash. And if you like to make t-shirt quilts, go ahead and quilt your blocks and then join them with Sash and a Dash.
The pine burr is a classic quilt design that's been popular for over 100 years, admired for the intricate cutting and sewing skills required to make such a complex block. But now, this traditional block is a whole lot easier to create using the Go Pine Burr 10-inch finished block on board or bob die. Where the time it would take to simply cut the pieces for one block would have stopped quilters from creating this beautiful design, the die makes it possible to cut an entire 10-inch finished 3-color block in just one pass through any Go cutter, including the Go Me. If you can sew a 1/4-inch seam, you can now create pine burr blocks with ease, fashioning them into stunning throw quilts, table runners, and more. This popular block has stood the test of time, but it can also create looks that are fresh and clean as forest air. The Go Pine Burr 10-inch finished die is sure to inspire you as you experience how easy it is to work with, because at AccuQuilt, we help you cut time so you can quilt more.
Hello! In today's show, I'm going to show you how to cut and sew a block from the Go Magnolia Bud 7-inch finished die. Stay tuned. Hello. Welcome to AccuQuilt Live. I'm Erica Botker, AccuQuilt's creativity expert, and I always forget to bring my phone onto the set with me to check where you all are from when I'm substituting for Miss Pam. So I am your substitute teacher today. Pam's off today. So I am here, left alone to my own devices, but don't worry, the whole live stream team is here in the studio with me. So we're going to kick off today with our friend Ashley Jones from Dime, otherwise known as Designs in Machine Embroidery, because she and I have cooked up a little something for Friday that we want to be sure everybody knows about. Ashley, are you there? There you are. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Erica. It's so nice to see you, and I'm very excited for Friday.
Oh my gosh, you've got really fun things planned. Tell everybody what you're going to show them.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm going to share my screen, and then I'll show some samples of the things that we're going to talk about.
Perfect.
So I love that you said Designs in Machine Embroidery. Erica, that's what DIME stands for, which is exactly right, because pretty much everything that we do has to do with embroidery. And so some of these things that I've got here, actually all of the things that I've got here, were actually stitched by my embroidery machine. I did not even have to do any sewing, although I can sew and I do like to sew, but I sometimes just love to play with my embroidery machine. Wouldn't you say that that's just a fun thing to do?
You know, it really is. And you guys have taught me so much. I learn something every time from you all.
Absolutely. Well, this time, Erica, we're going to talk about how your embroidery machine can put in a zipper for you into a project. And it actually stitched this entire bag for me. All I had to do was turn it inside out and close an opening. So I can make things to help me organize my sewing. Mm-hmm. And so this cute little scissor case, I've got this little zipper bag where you can see through, that's visible so you can see what's through it.
Oh my gosh.
How about this to get organized? Some needles and USB sticks for your embroidery designs.
Oh, that
Pretty
is
cool.
Perfect. Oh, I can't wait. Like I said, you guys, if you've never watched one of their events, join us on Friday because I always learn so much.
Absolutely. And Erica, not just to organize your sewing room, I've got some really fun things that would be great gifts for as the holiday season is approaching us.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, here's another little zipper bag, and I created a coordinating little card holder and key fob. It would be a great little gift set.
Okay, that is too cute.
For your kitchen? A little basket, a fabric basket. The embroidery machine actually boxed these corners and everything, Erica.
No kidding?
Unbelievable, right?
How
and
fun
so
is
it's all
that?
about the design and lots of folding. To get it just right. But this is another very easy little gift idea, just a little towel topper that you can tie to your oven handle. Give that for a nice little gift. I still love to have like a little notebook handy. And so in the hoop notebook covers are a fun thing to do. And believe it or not, how about something for those men in your life?
Yes.
So this is a cute little snap tray. The embroidery machine actually stitched it all together for me. All I had to do was install the snaps, and I've got a cute little snap tray.
Oh my goodness, is that cork?
It is cork, yes.
Oh my goodness.
Both sides.
You guys don't miss this. It's going to be fun.
don't.
I can't wait.
Absolutely.
You got
and
even
Erica,
more?
I do. I have one more. If they're all out there wondering, how can I use my AccuQuilt cutting system? within the hoop projects? Well, I'll tell you, here's what I do. And so this cute little zipper bag, you can see it's got a miniature version of my block. When I'm testing colors, one thing I love about my mix and match cube set is if I want to test colors so that I don't waste much fabric, I'll sew a miniature block of the same version that I'm going to make my regular size block. And then I've got all these miniature blocks and I think, what am I going to do with them? So I put them in little in the hoop projects like that. So isn't that cute?
That is so adorable. Okay, I can't wait because I'm going on a trip. I think I need one, at least one of those.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really good for organization. So the last thing I'll show is if you attend the event, we give you everyone that attends, a free downloadable embroidery file to stitch this cute little round zipper bag in the hoop. So you can put it on your little key fob. So come join us. It's all virtual. You can watch from the comfort of your own home. And we're going to be talking about how these projects are made. And we've got tips and tricks for customizing them. And yeah, it's going to be a fun time, Erica. So can I tell them how to register?
Please do.
Awesome. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to share was over on AccuQuilt's website. If you go to Discover and locate the events page, whenever you click on events, this is the virtual event that Erica and I are talking about. It's called The Scoop on In the Hoop. And so we're going to talk about making these fun little projects with your embroidery machine. And it's just a lot of fun. Like you said, Erica, we're going to have a grand time. So make sure you click on that and also register for the event. The event is this Friday at 11 o'clock Central. I can't stress that enough. That's 11 a.m. Central time.
Yes.
Join us live. Eric will be there with me, and then I'll be walking you guys through these fun little projects and giving you tips and tricks. You can chat directly with me and our education team, so come bringing all of your embroidery questions.
Fantastic. I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. And like I said, I learn something new every time I watch one of your events, so I can't wait.
Well, sounds great. Well, thank you so much, Erica, for sharing with everyone. Everyone register, join me for the live event, and they can watch the replay if you can't be there during the live, but you still want to register so you can get that link to watch live and also the replay.
Oh, yes. And the free download.
Yes, and the free download. That's right. So
all
free
right.
design.
Well,
awesome.
Thank you so much for popping on, and I will see you Friday morning.
You sure will. Thank you so much, Erica. Have fun, everyone.
Thanks, Ashley. Bye-bye. All right. Well, now, since I did remember my phone, I can look and see where you all are watching from. So I wasn't as organized as Pam. Pam's always much more organized about this than I am. Something about doing it every week instead of just on occasion. Okay, here we go. Comments. Let's see where everybody is. Oh, Maryland. Hello from Maryland. How big a hoop? You know what? She's going to talk about all of those hoopy details on the show. So probably a variety of hoop sizes. We've got somebody from somewhere in New Mexico who's traveling west. So hello, somewhere in New Mexico. Puyallup, Washington. They're having a rainy day. I'm kind of in the mood for a rainy day. And here we've got Central Illinois, West Central Illinois. Well, welcome everybody. Okay, so now we've got everybody's here. I'll put that aside. And it's time to introduce Chris. What would be AccuQuilt Live without Chris on with me? Hello, Chris.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Good, good. If you've never joined us before on a Wednesday, Chris is normally Pam's co-host, and this week I get the fun of being on the show with him. And you may know Chris from as Rose City Originals and his randomly generated quilt block series and his community quilt blocks. And so I know you've been working on a million projects. What's going on? What's up? What's new?
I do have a lot of projects going on right now. Most of them are at like that end stage, so I'm gonna finish them off and then of course start another batch of projects. You mentioned the community quilt. I actually just want to throw this out there for anyone following that project. Fabric submissions are due by the end of October, which is quickly creeping up on us.
It is. It is. Has Pam sent you any?
I don't think I've seen any from Pam yet, no.
Okay, well, I know you haven't seen any from me, so we better get you some. Okay, so we are going to jump into our show today. So we've got a photo of the day that kind of ties in with today. Here's my photo of the day. And since we're making magnolia buds, flower blocks, I wanted to share this picture of tulips. I took this in Pella, Iowa this spring, the week before their huge tulip festival. My bestie and I went, and yes, in case you were wondering, there is a quilt shop in Pella, Iowa. And tulips are her favorite flower, and it was just such a fun, you know, it was raining and it didn't even matter. Everything was beautiful. Look at those beautiful tulips. So here's the question of the day. I'm feeling flowery, so what's your favorite flower? I always have a hard time picking a favorite of anything, but some of my favorites are lilacs, hydrangeas, and this time of year, sunflowers. Chris, what about you?
Our yard is full of a variety of different flowers I've grown to love, but I'd probably say my favorite are the daylilies.
I have daylilies in my front yard. I have yellow ones. What color do you have?
We have a lot of colors, but the yellow ones are my favorite.
I love the yellow ones. I love the yellow ones. I went with kind of a yellow and purple scheme. I know you're shocked for the front of my
Right.
house. All right, well today Chris and I are going to give away one of our Go Magnolia Bud dies. Be sure to register for all our future events on the AccuQuilt event page. You'll find it under the Discover tab. And that's how you have a chance to win. Chris is going to announce that winner at the end of the show. Now before we get started, AccuQuilt is celebrating National Sewing Month with a contest. And all you have to do is create an original project using either our Go Lemon or our Go Pineapple die by our friend Janine LaCour. Now go ahead, post your projects on our social media platforms. Any social media platform will do. Just be sure you tag AccuQuilt. We're going to choose a winner, and that quilter is going to get $150 in AccuQuilt reward points in their account. So this contest is valid September 1st through the 30th. Let's see what you've got up in your quilting heads for us. Well, the project we're going to make today is hanging behind me. So I'm going to step just a little to the side so you can get a better look at it. So this is our Go Magnolia Vine Throw Quilt. It's a free pattern at AccuQuilt.com. It's a great stash buster. You can see that those floral fabrics are very scrappy, and you can make all your flowers different colors. This is not your garden variety die. That was Pam's line. I stole it. Okay, so let's talk about the supplies you would need to make that gorgeous quilt hanging behind me. I'm going to set Janine's dies off to the side. So you're going to need our Go Magnolia Bud die. You're also going to need the Go Square 7.5 inch, 7-inch finish square die. There are some plain squares in there. And then of course our 2.5 inch strip die. Scraps or whatever floral fabric you want for each flower. Of course you need the dies, of course you need the die mats and your cutter. So let's take a look at the Go. Here is a look at the Magnolia Bud block. And you can see it's basically a 9 patch. It's a pretty simple, straightforward block. It finishes at 7 inches. So although you've seen these shapes on other dies, you haven't seen these size of shapes on other dies. And that's kind of exciting about this die. So here's what the die looks like. I'm going to pull my fabric off. This is our die. And you'll see that we've got screen printed letters, as always, so that we can keep track of our pieces. You're only going to need one of shape A. Then shape B and C are here, and D is down here. And really, it's arranged to make it easy for you to cut your pieces, not waste fabric. The pink is that big body of the flower in the center. Now, take a look at these specialized dog ears, and we'll look at these as we sew this together. These are going to help you line everything up perfectly, and I'll show you what I mean when I'm making my block. So I need one of shape A. Shape C are the little tiny squares that make up this corner of the block. And you only need one yellow or whatever color you want to make the center. So I'm just going to cover that. Then squares are not directional, so we can fan fold across. And I've got a solid fabric, so it doesn't matter anyway. But now we come to shape D, right, Chris?
Yes.
And shape D is directional. So have you made one of these yet, Chris?
I have. One of the projects you showed with it last week I made.
Oh, well, look at you. Okay, so D, I'm using a solid white background, so it doesn't matter. I could have fan folded, but you have to fan fold with these. Why? They're directional. So that means if you're not fan folding, if you have rectangles like I've got here, you want to put one right side up and one right side down, right? Now,
yes,
the first time I made this, I had some confusion in my head. I tried doing it without directions. Never my best idea. Okay, and here's our pink. This one I can fan fold. Now this one's on a 6x12 die board, so I just need a 6x12 mat. And I can put it through my cutter. Chris, I am particularly enthralled with your merman quilt that you've been making. Did you translate any of that into dies, or was it foundation paper piecing?
That was foundation paper piecing, which is not my preferred quilting method, but in a quilt like that with lots of weird shapes and angles, it's usually the only way you can accomplish it accurately.
You know, in my mind, the best thing about foundation paper piecing is when you can cut it with a die and do it without it.
Yeah.
So I used my Go Big today. I had my Go Big die catcher right there behind it to catch it when it came out. If you don't have one yet, oh, be sure you get one. All right, so let's look at our pieces. And here's my pro tip for you. You are going to want to lay out your blocks before you sew them together so that you make sure everything's pointing the right direction. But we also need some squares. I almost forgot. So here's our square die. Now this is the 7.5 inch, 7-inch finish, so it's going to finish the same size as our magnolia bud. And I've got my selvage edge. This is some fabric that was left over from backing a quilt, so it still had the selvage edge on it. So I'm going to show you how you need that to run parallel to that lengthwise blade as it goes through the cutter, right? That's important when you've got crosswise blades. Now this is on a 10x10 die board, so it's going to work with either a Go or a Go Big. And if I've folded, if I can, if it works, I like to send my fold through, that'll work, first. I almost forgot to cut my squares. So does it feel like fall where you are, Chris?
Yes, it has definitely cooled down. It's a little drizzly outside right now.
Oh,
yes.
It was a little, it looked like it could drizzle this morning. I don't think it did. I'm ready for cooler weather.
Yeah.
I know, I won't say that for long. Okay, so here, there's a couple of my 7-inch squares. So now I can go back to laying out my block and show you how that's going to go. I just get so excited about this block. This is a really fun block, and it goes together really easily, don't you think?
Yes, it really does.
So the tricky part of the whole thing is those directional shapes as far as I'm concerned. So laying it out is going to help you make sure that you've got your pieces going the right way. I've got it this way. Okay, I'll do it this way. So, see what I mean? Nope, I need this one. So you need two different ways. Now, I'm going to set these aside because these are going to go in my next block. I'm not going to have to cut this pair of pink ones for my next block because I've already got a pair here. Now I'm going to do the same. Now I'm going to match them up with white ones. And since I'm using a solid, It doesn't care.
That's a good pro tip, too. If you're having trouble with directional shapes, do some practicing with solid fabric.
Yes, yes. Or just use solid fabric.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with solid fabric.
Right.
Now, the leaves, I laid my leaves out wrong the first time and somebody called me on it. So I want to make sure I do it right this time. Although, you know, maybe it was just a different kind of flower. Okay. And this one goes right up here. Oops, yes, that is right. I don't know why. I always end up picking green, and I know better, but we wanted green leaves, but this green totally, totally blends in with my cutting mat. Trust me, it's there. Now, we've got solid squares for these corners, right? And I've got an extra. Then for up in our little corner, it's so cute. That's where our little 4 patch is gonna go. And you know what? Don't sweat the small pieces because they're going to go together perfectly because we cut them perfectly. So I'm going to put my die up here so we can start sewing. So let's start by sewing your D sections together. Those are going to be your petals and your leaves. So I can show you how those directional pieces work. So I mentioned the dog ears. Let's see if I can get this up here so you can see it. And I will show you with the pink. See how perfectly those lay together?
It's so nice. It makes them so quick to sew.
They're so quick. You know you've got it just right. You know, that's the key, right?
Well, while you're sewing, let's go look at what some
Oh,
of
yes, flowers.
everyone's favorite flowers are.
Good idea, Chris.
Let's see. Anna's starting off with she loves roses, sunflowers, and daisies. Those are just a few of her favorites.
Sunflowers are very big around here, especially this time of year.
Mm-hmm. Alyssa says alstroemeria and gladiolas.
Ooh.
I'm not sure what alstroemeria are, so
I
I'm going to have
think
to
that's a
look
kind
that
of
up.
lily.
Oh, okay. Very nice. I do love the lilies.
Kind of a pink and white lily, I think, but I'm not 100% sure. Somebody put in the comments. Somebody's going to be horrified because I just said something wrong probably, but. What other flowers?
Patty likes irises and tulips.
Iris and tulips, those are great. Those are bulbs. Those are great bulb ones.
Randy likes hibiscus.
Well, now that's tropical.
I always, you think hibiscus, the big flowers, you think like Hawaii, tropics, whatever.
Right.
They actually grow here in Portland too.
Do they really?
We have some in our yard. Yes.
Oh
I was shocked.
Yeah, well, as I would be also. I did not. I was just going to say, well, you're not going to be growing those in Portland, but maybe, I guess you are.
Yeah, we have, so Rose of Sharon is a variety of hibiscus, and we have a Rose of Sharon that's like a tree, and it's got like these bluish purple flowers that come out every year.
They are really pretty too.
Yes, and then we have a hibiscus up front that has like really deep red leaves. It's really pretty.
Ooh, oh, that sounds pretty. All right, I've got my D's. I'm gonna trim them apart and come over and press them open. So we've got time for questions and flowers.
All right, let's see. A couple questions here. We'll address those. Dee is asking, does the Go Big work well with flannel?
Yes, it does. Actually, if you can cut it with scissors, you can cut it. Now, are you going to want to cut 6 layers? No. Flannel's thicker, it's tougher. You're going to want to not cut as many layers. I'd start with, depends on whether you're cutting with a regular die or with a one of the rag dies.
Mm-hmm.
But I would start with 2 layers either way.
Yeah.
And I would not go over 2 layers with the rag die.
Right, because there's a lot of blades for those edges.
There are a lot of blades for those edges.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not all flannels are the same. Some are thinner than others. So yeah, start with 2 layers. If it's a thinner flannel, you could probably go up to 4.
Yep.
But even 2 at a time, it's a quick cut, depending on what pattern you're using, of course.
Right, right. I just grab my clapper out because while I'm pressing these, I like to stick them under my clapper. If you guys have not tried using a wooden clapper, I think they're game changing.
They are awesome.
And we have 2 sizes. This is the 8-inch. There's also a 12-inch on our website. They're made here locally and branded for us, and I love mine. I just let them hang out. I'm just going to let them hang out there underneath my clapper while I do my next little step.
Awesome. Someone is asking, when is the next quilt along information going to be released?
Well, by golly,
So stay
tuned. Yep,
That will be coming out today.
Chris and I are revealing that at the end of the show today. Okay, so I'm just going to let those hang out there, and I'm going to sew my little bitty 4-patch.
Those tiny, tiny squares.
But you know what? These have got dog-eared corners on them too. So again, you can line them up perfectly. All right, what other flowers have we got, Mr. Chris?
Let's see. Denise says she likes red roses and mums. That's
Oh,
fun.
it's good mum time. Mums can be spectacular
Yes.
around here in the fall.
Yes, and that's good. Like roses are very summer, mums are more fall. You gotta, keep some pretty stuff in the garden all year round.
Yep. I'm a fan of the knockout roses. They kind of are ever blooming, and
Yeah.
they don't take a lot of specialized care. They just kind of hang out, do their thing, and look pretty.
Yeah. I don't think we have any knockout roses, but we definitely have several rose bushes out front. Since we are in the Rose City, of course we have to get roses.
You are in the Rose City, yes. All right.
Let's see. Here's one. Debbie says, I love flowers. Daffodils, calla lilies, and roses are a few of her favorites.
Ooh, calla lilies.
Those are
I've
fun.
never tried to grow calla lilies. I know you can, but.
We have some calla lilies. We definitely have some daffodils. They have been doing very well in our front yard. We have all kinds of varieties of them too.
Oh, nice.
They come in way more colors than I thought. So that's been fun.
You know, that was one thing I really appreciated about going over to Pella to see the tulips when we did. They had little markers they had big beds of tulips all over, but then they had a strip where there was like a sidewalk down, and on either side they had like little square beds of all the different kinds with tags to say what kind they were. So
That's
if you
handy.
saw one you really liked, then you could write it down or take a picture of the tag like I did so you could get some.
Nice.
All right, now I press this little seam to the side so that I can nest this center seam. I like doing that if I can. But I pressed all of my half rectangle triangles open.
I like pressing open. I mean, I press open most of the time, but especially if it's like an angled seam, like a half rectangle triangle, a half square triangle.
Yeah.
I find you just get a straighter seam. You don't get that little curve in it that you get sometimes when you press to the side.
I know. I know. It takes more time, but it's totally worth it, quilters. Okay.
I agree.
So I'm going to set that seam and do this. Open this little guy up. I love doing that, by the way. Do you do that?
Spinning
do you
your
open up
seam?
that little center? Yeah.
I don't. I always think about it after the fact, because if you don't, you can get quite a bump right
You
there.
can get quite a bump. You really can. You really can. Okay. So now I'm going to move my coffee cup and get my pieces out from under my clapper so I can lay out my block. I mean, it's that fast. This
It
goes
really is.
super quick. If I'd pay attention to what I was doing and not chit-chat so much, we'd be done already. But what fun is that? This one goes here. This one goes here.
Oh, while you're laying it out, have some more flowers. People are definitely enjoying that.
Good.
And here's a fun one. Paula says bleeding heart flowers.
Bleeding
are
heart. Those
one
are
of my
beautiful.
favorites also.
Yes.
We have two varieties in our garden. One is all white, like it's albino.
Really?
It's got no pink color in it. And then we also recently got some, well, they decided to plant themselves, but some native bleeding hearts because they're actually native up here.
Really?
So we have some growing in our backyard. Yeah.
Ow.
We just let them do their thing.
My aunt lived in New England, and I think that's one of the flowers she always had in her garden. And my mom tried, and she never had luck with them. And I'm a way worse gardener than my mother. Okay, I'm going to sew together the first two pieces of each of my rows here, and then go back and add that end piece. And again, notches, dog-eared ends, perfect. Lines up perfectly.
Nice.
Okay, more flowers. Everybody flowery.
Yes. Jean says petunias. Those are always a fun summer flower.
You know, and they're resilient.
Yes, they are. Kimberly likes azaleas and roses.
Oh, I loved
Azaleas are
azaleas.
fun.
When I lived in the Pacific Northwest, and those azaleas, the purple ones, they look like they're glowing.
Yes, they have some really bright colors.
I just love them.
Kim says she likes sweet peas. Those are fun. We had some of those last year in our little pots.
I do like sweet peas. And if you get an old-fashioned variety, then they smell really good too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they do. We have, it used to be a fountain. It doesn't work anymore, so we turned it into a planter out by our front door. And we like to plant annuals in it because it's fairly shallow.
Oh, okay.
But we like finding ones that have a good smell to them because we have to walk by it to get to our front door. So
well,
a nice
perfect.
little.
All right, see, that's all together.
bouquet.
I'm going to add my third piece on here while we're talking flowers.
Carolyn likes lilac and bearded iris.
Ooh,
Those are always
another
fun.
lilac person. I really love lilac, and that's one that smells good. I did
Yes.
not have any lilac at my house, and so I planted a lilac bush in May. Well, okay, I didn't actually do it. I had somebody else help me, but you know.
You had one planted.
I had one
That's what
planted. There's
matters.
one there. And I have a volunteer tree that's trying to choke it out, so I
Uh-oh.
must go speak sternly with it.
Let's see. Anita has some here. She likes roses and magnolias.
Oh, well, here you go. I tell you
Perfect
what,
eye
I
for you.
love this magnolia bud, but you know what? I have found myself, and no disrespect to the South, but I do tend to say magnolia, just like I was from the South. I don't know why. I guess it's watching Sweet Magnolias. I don't know.
We have a magnolia tree. I forget the variety because it is different than like the southern magnolias. It's much smaller. And it has bloomed before, but it's still, I mean, it's fairly young, so.
Okay, I'm
Let's
going to
see.
press my middle row to the inside and my top and bottom rows to the outside so that I can nest with this.
Perfect.
So, just as we're merrily going along here.
Let's see. Jean says that she loves clematis. Those are fun. And there's a huge variety of flower sizes and colors and stuff you can get with clematis.
Yes, and I tell you what, I have a beautiful one. I moved into a new house a couple years ago, and I have a gorgeous purple clematis by my front door. Oh, I love it. Well, you know how I feel about purple to begin with,
Yes.
but... So
Let's
see, the
see.
house really gave me purple and yellow plums. I didn't have to do anything about it.
Right. It's like it was meant to be.
Right.
Dee writes in that she likes carnations, also a fun flower.
Yes.
And Jeannie says tulips have always been her favorite.
Yep.
Do love tulips.
If you're a tulip person and you've never been to a tulip festival somewhere, you need to find a tulip festival to go to.
Yes. Yeah, we have one local here that we've been to, and it's amazing. Just fields and fields and fields of tulips.
I remember being. Do you go up to the one in Washington?
No, it's here in Oregon. It's at the Wooden Shoe, I think is
Oh,
the name of the farm.
there's one up in like Mount Vernon. That's the one that we went to because we lived in Seattle, so that was closer
Right.
to us.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness, I remember my daughter, who is now in her 30s, saying it's like a field of butter because they were all yellow tulips.
Uh-huh.
It really was. Okay, now I'm gonna sew this one on.
Last row.
Last row.
Let's see, we got a question in here for
Okay.
me. Cindy is asking, Chris, when will your log cabin skull pattern come out? I was telling my quilt group about it, and everyone wants to try it. So
Oh.
I am working on it. I have it mostly written, but I need to test it out. So I have the pieces cut for a second one. So keep watching on my social media, and you'll see it. And I'm hoping to get the pattern out in a couple weeks.
Listen, Miss Pam has been bugging him about that too, quilters, just
Yes.
saying.
Yes, and you can use your 2.5-inch strip cutter if you want to use some yardage to cut your
Oh,
strips.
there is no better way.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
All right, here we go. I've got my block done. This is a super quick one, quick, easy block to make. I'm going
I
to
was
press
going to
these.
say, look how quick that
to the
was, even
side.
with chatting.
Yeah, even with chatting. Even with chatting. All right, I'm going to press this. I think I got all of my pieces facing the right direction on this one, which is always my concern when I'm not paying attention as closely as I should.
It
So
looks right to me.
There we go. I'm going to turn that off. So here's the fun thing about this block. A, I love it on point. B, when you put it together, it makes great secondary designs. It makes it look like a triangle and a square. And I'm going to take these to the quilt behind me in just a second to show you that this is just how this block is made. And this is how the vine is created as well. It's just the two pieces, the two blocks, when you flip them the other direction, it creates the vine. It's really just the solid block and this block, and that's all this project is. So let's go back to the quilt again. And you can see right here we've got two flowers, and then here they come together, just like I laid out on the table. And then we've got our opposite facing ones creating the vine. And then what the designer did, which was so really clever, was to use these in the corners of the quilt. And I love that because it just pulls the whole thing together, I think. And then use the green, which is the same as the leaves, for the binding. It's very, very pretty quilt. I just really like it a lot. And I started making these all in pink, but I've got some other fabrics in this line. Chris, I may have to get busy. I may have to get busy. And then, you have a solid in here.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to go together super quick. So
Yes.
cut your solid blocks, make your flower blocks, follow the pattern to lay them all out. Finish the project by adding batting between the top and the backing. Pinner based, quiltist desire, use your favorite binding method, and you're done. Be sure you share pictures of all your projects with us on social media. Be sure to tag AccuQuilt Built on there so we can find it. All right, do we have any questions about our magnolia before we kind of move on to some other things?
I do not see any questions about the Magnolia Dino.
Okay, well, shall we announce the upcoming quilt along, Chris?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna grab the quilt. I've got a sample block. I'm gonna put it behind my back, and I'm gonna let Chris have the fun of announcing the next quilt along project. It's all you.
Our next AQS AccuQuilt along is going to be the classic Storm at Sea.
Yes, and this is a brand new pattern using the standard classic single sashing Storm at Sea block. This pattern was written by our own Miss Pam for us, and she we were so excited to have a new really classic. My arms aren't as big. So I'm going to hold it up. This is half size. Okay, I'm going to give you a look so you can see, because we've got 5 rows across by 7 rows long.
Nice.
Okay, so let's take a look at this just a minute, because if you're not familiar with Storm at Sea, I think a lot of quilters like have this on their to-do list. I know I have.
I definitely do. Yes.
So this is here we've done what I call single sashing. And that means that my blocks are going to look like this. And yes, this is actually these 3, the 2 blues and the white. This is my fabric. So I'm going to make them like this. Now you can also make a block like we've got over here. But what would happen if I did that and then put another one next to it is I would have 2 rows of diamonds. I would have double the sashing. Another great look, but this one is just going to be the simple classic, and I love it. Isn't it yummy? Pam did such a great job with this. She used batiks on this one, kind of watery looking, and she was very careful to keep the directions going, the kind of direction in the patterns going that way. You can see she's used some slightly directional fabric for one of these. I have got all Moda Grunge and there is no direction, so I didn't have to pay attention to that. So, of course, we're going to use our Go Storm at Sea block on board or bob die, but we want everybody to be able to jump in and participate with this quilt along and have fun with us. So our friends at AQS have provided rotary cutting instructions as well. You can find that on their blog. You can also find it on our blog in the introduction that's posted today. So you want to be sure and also join the AQS Quilting Project Parade Facebook group. Pam and I are going to be popping on there. You'll see pictures of our fabrics already up there, and we'll be posting pictures of our progress along the way. Again, look up those blog posts. They're going to tell you everything that you need. This is free to participate in. We'd love to have as many quilters as possible join in the fun with us, and we can't wait to see what you all come up with. When you post pictures on there, be sure you hashtag AQSews. All right, we have any questions about the quilt along yet before I move on?
No questions about the quilt along coming in yet.
Okay.
Did get a question about the Magnolia die though.
Okay.
Just asking, what other things can you make with the 7.5-inch die?
Oh, you know what? We have got other blocks that you can use, and I had a lot of fun. You know, if you missed our launch on this, you can go back and watch that and see some of the ideas we came up with. We came up with some great ways to use these pieces. You can also do some substitutions with this. You can change those pieces around and lay them out different ways. We have a 7-inch drunkard's path that might create some fun options for you. But I also was able to substitute a piece from the arrowhead die that came out at the same time with this die. So you want to check that out. You can also take your center, this little floor patch, and use those pieces and do 2 green ones down here like this, and it creates the look of a stem.
Yep. So I wrote a pattern for this die for the launch.
Yes.
It's the Go Magnolia baby blanket.
Yes.
And I used the corner pieces to make a 4 patch in the center. And I used the little squares to do that stem trick at the end. Oh yeah,
that's the other thing. Yeah, you can take these pieces and do a 4 patch for instead of a solid block for this too. So lots of fun pieces, lots of fun to be had with that. Be sure to check out the free patterns. There are 3 or 4 patterns available for this, maybe even an extra one. There might even be 5. They're super, our designers came up with such great ideas for this, including Chris. So be sure you check out those free patterns.
Yeah, if you just search for the die on the AccuQuilt website, it'll pull up the patterns that have been written for it also.
Right. So on all of our block on board dies, you can do that. and you can search by that die. So put in magnolia bud, it's going to pull it up. As you scroll down as you look at the screen on your right-hand side, you're going to be able to download free block assembly directions. Scroll down a little further and you're going to see a cluster of pictures with links to patterns, free downloadable patterns using that die. So, another pro tip for the day.
Yes.
All right, Chris, shall we announce the winner of our Go Magnolia Bud die?
Yes, let's do that. Drum roll, please. Today's winner is Amity B of Knoxville, Tennessee.
Oh, congratulations. Amity, I love that. That's so pretty. It sounds like a flower name. All right.
It does.
Now be sure to check out the website today. We've got some amazing deals going on. And a couple housekeeping reminders. We have a fantastic die to try this month. It's called the Go Pine Burr. It's a 10-inch finished block, and it's beautiful, isn't it? We love it.
I love that one.
You can get that only through AccuQuilt.com or your local AccuQuilt retailer, and only while supplies last. And then if you haven't yet, you've still got plenty of time to join APQ's Quilt Along. It's a block of the month, and it is called Gem Tones. It was designed by our friend Lori Miller, and it uses the 10-inch cube. So this is the current block. This is the first block. It's called Ruby, and it's in the current edition of the magazine that's on sale now. The next block will be in the December issue, which hits newsstands next month in October. And I don't know what it looks like, but I can't tell you.
Oh.
But it's called Gem Tones, and this one's called Ruby. So you kind of get the direction we're going. But it's all written. Mm-hmm. There are directions written for it to make this, and it's a 20-inch block.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a nice big block.
Yeah, it's a nice big block. It uses your 10-inch cube, and there are cube-friendly directions written right there for you. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Thank you for being a part of our reveal of our next Quilt Along. On behalf of myself and the live stream team and our moderators who are off-site, we've got Mike and Justin and Chelsea here in the studio with us. It's fun to have Chelsea back. And I'm Erica. Thanks for joining us. I promise Pam will be back next week.
Thanks so much for watching. To learn more about your quilting craft, be sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for live events every Tuesday and Wednesday. You can check out the events page on the AccuQuilt website for more details on upcoming shows. And if you're looking for even more inspiration, visit our blog for exclusive tutorials filled with tips and tricks. And remember, at AccuQuilt, we help you cut time so you can quilt more.
Be sure and join us for next week's AccuQuilt Live as Pam shows you how to cut and sew a block from the Go Arrowhead die.